Welcome to episode 39 of Created by Design. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you find some of the things I'm going to bring interesting and inspiring to you. Last time, in the previous video, I talked about getting my shawl started. Hold it up here. This is the shawl in the unblocked state. And I just want to give you a close-up here of hopefully you can kind of see it's got mounds in it, and when it gets blocked, that will all be stretched out and laid flat. And then it opens it up so that the design really starts to show, and it'll be much better when I get it blocked so you can see how that really looks. This was a fun project. I thought it was going to take me longer than it did, but we were able to sneak away down to the Oregon coast for a couple of weeks, and so I had a lot of knitting time. We love going to the Oregon coast and watch the waves. The place we go to is right on the ocean edge on a cliff, and we see the big waves. I might even post a little picture of that, of the ocean. We had some beautiful weather. We had some snow while we were there, and a little rain and sunshine. So we had a little bit of everything. Springtime in Oregon is kind of that way. But so I got this done. I was really surprised. I actually thought it was going to take me a lot longer. But if I hold it up and hold it still here, you can see the body is the same pattern repeat. I think it's about a 20 row repeat and about 21 stitches across. So once you get that rhythm down, it begins to go pretty quick. And so I was pleased. I can't wait to get it blocked, but I wanted to show it to you before I blocked it. And I've been thinking about the blocking, and this is 100% wool. And so I can just soak it in water for, probably a good, maybe half an hour so it really gets absorbed. Or I could just lay it out and really get it saturated with a spray bottle, which I've done before, but I kind of think I will soak this because you really want all the fibers to really get really soaked all the way through, and to get a good blocking on it. You want it to be able to lay it out and get it really even. And I have blocking pads that have a grid, and so I have a good straight line to get the edges pinned down nice and straight. So I think that's probably what I will do, and hopefully by next episode I will have this blocked. This was some yarn that I had gotten in Estonia, and so I really wanted to get a picture, not a picture, but get a product made that would be kind of a keepsake from that particular trip. So that's how far I've gotten along on my shawl. I don't wear a lot of shawls, but it is kind of fun to have them once in a while. I got the pattern. I'll show it here. This is a book all on Estonia lace. Move my hand. Let's see where the label of it is here. Oh, and the light is really shining bright. Maybe that's better. And this one is called the Lilac Shawl. That's a nice picture of it in the book. It is quite beautiful when it's blocked. So give credit due. I don't see a person's name on here. Oh, sure, Nancy Bush. So give her credit for those patterns. They're very well written, and she has good explanations. Not all patterns do. Not all patterns are created equal, as we say. Then I'm gonna, in this episode, I'll give you an update on Carrie's garden and the seed starts that she has started, and I'll insert that probably right about at this point in the video.
Hi, this is Carrie checking in with you to show you one of my newest seed starting projects for this growing season, which is flowering sweet peas. I've never grown sweet peas before, but I do understand that they're very fragrant. Very excited. I have a number of different varieties of sweet peas that I've started. So I'll show you where they are in the process right now. Okay, so today is the first day that these sweet pea starts are in the portable greenhouse out in my backyard. I am starting the process of hardening them off, and it was a nice sunny day here, so I thought it was a good opportunity to get some natural sunlight as well as getting them used to outdoor temperatures. Currently, these seed starts have been in my garage around cool temperatures, but they've been under lights to help them be able to grow the way they're supposed to. So when they got started, they did get what I would consider a little bit leggy, but they are developing their leaves and they're developing new growth. So I'm really pleased with them, and I'm excited to see what they do when they're in the ground. The way that I've organized my seeds is in these biodegradable bags, and I do mark the type of sweet pea, and then I've gone in rows so I know that these are all the same sweet pea until I get to a new marker, and then it just continues on. So in this particular tray, I think I have 4 different kinds of sweet peas. The pinching off process, I can show you an example of that. Once here's a good one. I had 2 set of leaves, and once I had those leaves developed, I pinched right here where you see this little stem. And once that happened, we now have new growth coming out of that. And that is the idea. The more you pinch, the bushier these plants will get, and really the more production that will happen. And there are a number of different varieties of flowers, if you've not done any gardening, that I've been reading about, where you do need to pinch in order to really get the production that you're looking for. Here's one that's not doing quite as well. It's a little bit stringy, and it really isn't developing the leaves at this point. It will need to get pinched back. This one has not been pinched. So anyways, that's what I've been working on. I'm super excited about this project, and I have several other things that I'm working on as well in terms of starting seeds for the season. So as I get these in the ground and they start growing, I will provide some updates.
So then I've got 2 more projects that I've started, because I call it that I've actually finished the yellow shawl. Not quite, but the knitting part's done. So I'll call that a completed project. But I'm going to be giving you a little update on a lion that I'm making from all those little critters I've been making. I have gotten a lion started, and I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about that. But my new project that I've started is a throw, and I love Fair Isle. I love doing that. I love playing around with colors, and this is where I want to talk to you a little bit about finding out what it is you like to do. I've learned a lot about talking with other knitters and why some of us like doing it maybe continental stitch, and others like to throw, and other people, some do not like Fair Isle. Some of us like to use a bulky yarn. Some of us would prefer to use circular needles over straight needles. And I think that says a lot about our own personalities. And so my theory is, why fight trying to do it another way? Find what works for you and let yourself enjoy. I know I've talked to different people, and they've said, oh, I hate circular needles. I've tried that. It just doesn't work. And then they think all knitting should be done on straight needles. Well, I think what we have to realize is, because we all operate differently, our brains just process differently, that circular needles just feel frustrating for some people, and that's okay. Find what works for you, and then go with that. There really isn't a right or wrong way. I think persevere though and embrace how your brain works. Some people absolutely find working with a grid confusing, and they want the pattern totally written out. They don't want to see the little squares darkened with the little characters in the grid squares. And there again, it's how your brain works. So I think understanding that about ourselves really says a lot. I have two daughters, and they both, in many ways, are very opposite. They're both very accomplished, very successful in what they do. I'm going to be sure you've met Carrie, you've seen her backyard and what she's doing, and later on this spring, summertime, I'm going to show you my other daughter's backyard and her greenhouse, and you'll see the opposites in the girls. Now, they both end up with beautiful flowers. They both end up, getting vegetables, but their approach there's some similarities, but there are some major differences in what they're looking for. And I think that's terrific because they're both embracing who they are and enjoying what they like to do. And I think the frustration comes in when we try to do what somebody else is doing and it doesn't quite flow well for us, and we get discouraged and we throw our hands up and then we just quit and don't try anything. I think we all have the ability to create, and it's just finding that niche and not trying to make our work look like somebody else's work. If I make a mistake, I seldom just say, oh, I'm going to live with that. Other people can say, oh, I'm going to live with that, and just kind of look past the mistake. I'm probably going to rip it out and correct the mistake. That's okay. And it's okay if you want to improvise around a mistake and just make it work. There again, I think find out how you operate. We learn a lot about ourselves, I think, through whether it's knitting or crocheting or baking, whatever your enjoyment is. I think look at it and kind of study yourself, and I think it's okay to learn about ourselves. In fact, it's good to learn about ourselves. And at 79, I'm still learning a lot about myself. So that's just a little encouraging piece I hope to leave with you, is don't give up, just find what works for you and be good with that. So in starting my new Fair Isle throw, I've just got a little bit of it started here. I'm knitting it in the round. I'm connecting it right now with a steek so I can just keep going around in circles, and what that means is I'll never do a purl row in it. All rows are knit, so that goes faster. But in my process of doing this, I was trying to figure out, how am I going to come up, what is my color scheme going to be? And there were several things I could do. You could, for instance, let's say this picture right here. I love the color combination. I could use this as a guide as to what colors then of yarn I'm going to choose to come up with this as a color guide. And I decided I didn't want to be that limited. I have quite a few different skeins of yarn in Jamieson and Smith wool, and they intermix really well together. So I've got quite a large palette. And what I envisioned in my mind was really using quite a few of those colors. And so therefore finding a picture or an idea of a color scheme really wasn't going to work for me. I tried to make it work. So that, because I wanted a broader palette. So then I thought, well, I want dark background with the characters of the design to be in lighter tones. So you can see the dark background up here. This is the border down here. And so the front design I'm doing all in light shades. So I thought, well, I'll take my bins that I have sitting here behind me that are full of Jamieson and Smith yarn, and maybe I'll put all the dark colors together, and then I'll put all the light colors together. And I actually got it out and started doing that, and it felt awkward to me. I was finding that actually a little bit frustrated. So I put the yarn back in the bins. So I have all the blues together. I have all the yellow tones, oranges, lavender tones, light and dark, all in their own bin. And I actually am finding that the easiest for my eye to go to and work in that, which is how I had them stored originally, which I find kind of interesting, and pulling the colors as I go along. So I don't have a preset, like right now in my mind, I don't know what colors I'm going to do next. I don't know what light shade I'm going to go to. I may go into green tones, really pastel, working up into a little bit darker tone for my major, more predominant design. Not quite sure which ones I'm going to go to next. I seem to work well that in the moment, look and let myself get inspired by what I see in the bins. Now, I know people that absolutely would not work for, and that's okay. It's part of that understanding how you work best. And I'm a little freer, and I don't need to have a set pattern of what I'm going to go to next. I have a pattern. In fact, I actually went through, for days I've been looking through my pattern books. I have one that's just all Alice Starmore designs, and then I remembered this pattern book that I have, and it's so inspirational design wise, and they also have lots of pages of grids, and I sat and I studied them in I have several other design books, and I've spent a lot of time just looking, and I think I could never wear this, I don't think, but on the other hand, I think it's so cool, brave. If I can get it over here in the camera well for you. I was going the wrong way, sorry about that. So bright colors, leggings, big design, and I think it's eye-catching. There's people out there with the right body types that can wear those. I was going to grab another little picture here for you out of here. This is the grid. Don't ask me why. This one caught my eye right up here. It's always hard for me to figure out where that camera is, but this design up here is the one that I'm making. I'm not using all of it, but I'm using quite a bit of it. But what I liked about this design is that it's close together. I'm not going to have big long floats in the back to worry about or catch. And because being that it's a throw, I want the floats, which is the back part of when you're using two colors in this case. So you don't want great big floats, and this pattern just automatically gives me small floats, so I don't have to worry about really catching anything. And if you have more than 5 stitches, you want to catch your float in the back. I actually don't like much more than 3 or 4 stitches in a float, and especially, like I say, for a throw, it just makes the back side finished off and looks nice, because I'm not going to put a lining on the back side of this. So this is my latest project. It will take me a while, but I get going on it, and it just draws me in, just playing with color. So that's what the real thing that was important to me in this project is more getting inspired by the colors more than the actual design itself. Now I think it's going to have a really sharp design. The whole thing will be a repeat of the same design. I've made some throws that every few rows you start a different design or different pattern, but this is going to be the same pattern throughout, but the play, the intrigue is really going to be the color combinations, and I love playing with color. show you this up close. I've got blues and oranges and magentas and purples in this band, and the way you work with them, it just blends them together, and I just think that's kind of fun and intriguing. So it'll be a nice finished edge here. Where the steeking is, when I cut that steeking open, which I'll show you a better picture of it right here. This is what's called the steeking, and that will be cut wide open, and I probably will, I'll lay that back to the back side. There's 9 stitches in that steeking, and then I'm going to use a ribbon to sew on, and the raw edge of that steeking will be caught inside of the ribbon. I haven't purchased the ribbon yet, so I'm going to start looking for it, because it sometimes is kind of hard to find the right ribbon. You want a woven ribbon, but not something as crisp as a grosgrain. I'd rather have something that has a little more movement in it, a little more open weave versus the grosgrain. So that's my story about my latest throw that I'm starting. I have started. I'm doing it on a size 3 needle, and it's going well. I want it wide enough to go across me and long enough to cover my feet up, and so I don't even have an exact measurement. I think I cast on 250 stitches maybe, and I calculated out how I know how many stitches is in the repeat. It's a 21-inch repeat, and so I know that the pattern will come out pretty even with using that 21 stitches to the pattern. The bigger calculation was 9 stitches to an inch. So you take your 9 stitches times however many inches wide you want the throw to be, and that's how you know how many stitches to cast on. So that's variable. So you don't have to have a pattern for a throw. You have to have a design to follow. I guess you could make one up in your head as you go, and there are some of those free-form designs out there. I wanted a little bit more repetitive than that, so I am following a specific design out of this book that is now out of print. I actually found this on eBay, I think, and bought it because there was a sweater design in here that I made a number of years ago. And but some of these old books are great because they still have some very good patterns in them. So that's my throw. Now the other project that, pick it up off of the floor here, I started a lion out of the knitted animal friends, and I've made another modification with the arms and legs that I wanted to share with those of you that are making these little critters. This is the lion, knitting it in the round. I knitted up the legs and got the arms knitted, and I knit the legs on when I come to the appropriate place in the body. If you've knitted these little animals, she has you purl. I think it's 10 stitches right in the pattern, and that's right where I knit the leg on, is because that's what she intended, is where those purl stitches are in the body pattern. That's where the legs go. So what I did differently this time with my legs and arms, I'll back up just a little bit, and you can go to episode 30 and episode 31, and I talk more in detail about putting the whole body, knitting up a complete critter, and knitting these items on. On that episode, I did not close up the top of the arm and the leg. I had live stitches. I had 2 needles, live stitches on both, and I knitted the back side of the arm on, went around a row and picked up the top. This time around, and the reason why I did it that way is I thought it needed to be attached on 2 rows just to strengthen it. But I got brave and thought, you know what? I'll bet you it's going to be strong enough just to completely knit that on 1 row. So what I did with the legs, like I did here with the arm, I did a 3 needle, knitted those, the front and the back side of the arm together, so then I just have 10 stitches of live stitches on my needle. And when I got to that place in the leg, I just did knitted it right in with the stitches that were on the row when I got to it, and it is turning out great. It's clean on the inside. It seems to be very, very secure. So I see no reason why we need to knit these on in 2 rows. We can close up that top, keep a row of live stitches, and knit that right in, and it's so slick. You can see here from the front side, it looks pretty good and nice straight across there. The back side, you get a little bit of a rib right there, but that's pretty minor, and it seems to be nice and secure, so I'm really happy with that. The other thing that I do with knitting the body completely in the round, I cast my stitches on to begin just like she tells you to, and I did 2 rows knitting back and forth, and on the 3rd row I joined the body and started knitting in the round. Threaded my long tail that I had for my stitches on a needle and sewed up just that, closed up the little bottom there, and it's all nice and secure. It's nice and clean inside. Everything's tucked in, so you don't need to worry about anything unraveling. And I will continue to knit in the round. I'll leave a little, probably pretty soon here, I'll do, I don't know, maybe about 15 rows back and forth, so I end up leaving an opening here, and then I'll go back to knitting in the round, so that when it's time to put the arms on the body, I'll be knitting in the round, and then of course, just as a reminder, I knit the head on as I go. I don't do the head separately. I just knit it right into the neck, of the body. So I probably stop about 3 rows before the body would be finished, and start the neck at about 2 or 3 rows into the head, and just continue on knitting. Sometimes I leave the head wide open, and sometimes not. Now, if it's one of the new animals, and the lion is, I do start the head separately, and can't think of what video it is, it's back maybe about 3 or 4 videos, maybe it's around video 35, 34, I show how I knit that new head onto the body, because she's created her new heads just a little bit differently, so you can't totally knit them right onto the body. But if you're in the first book, you can knit the heads right on. It's the second book that the heads get attached just a little bit differently. But I like the way these are coming out, and I think I really like the way the legs, modifying it to where you're knitting it on just in 1 row and not 2 rows. I hope I didn't make that really difficult to I suppose one of these days I'll have to do a video of actually showing how, and maybe when I get to the shoulder part for these legs, I'll make a quick little video showing that part of how the arm actually does get knitted onto the body with just 1 row. Pretty simple, really. And but it's quick and easy. I am just there again, one of those people, I don't like to do the sewing part. I just do a better job at getting it attached by knitting. And that may not work for you. This is where, we're all so different. So figure out what works for you. I've gotten a number of very kind and nice remarks about how helpful knitting in the round has been. And so if you're one of those people that enjoy knitting in the round, I'm glad that that's been helpful for you. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Hope all is doing well. It's springtime here in Oregon, and it snowed again today. Doesn't stick, but it's out there for a few hours in the morning time. All the daffodils and crocuses are trying to pop their heads up through the snow. They're hardy little plants to be able to withstand that. So it doesn't seem like it did them any damage last night. And so it's kind of an unusual year for us here in Oregon, and I know many people across the United States have had some really horrific snows. And yeah, that's not fun when it lasts a long time and 5 or 6 feet deep. We have family friends that have had that kind of deep snow, and so it's not easy, but would give a person a lot of knitting time. I think that would be terrific. I am going to insert one little picture of a granddaughter who received one of the little lambs from me and my husband. She had been in the hospital very, very ill, and upon getting out, we sent her one of the little knitted animals, and it was a delight to get a picture and see her joy and loving it. So if you're one of these people knitting the knitted animal friends, I don't have the book right here. I'll post a picture of it if you're new to the website and haven't seen it before. It's fun to knit, but it's a greater joy to give them away and see the smiles on the faces when you give them. So I hope if you're one of them knitting those critters, you've had that joy of seeing the delight on a child's face. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Have a great day. Until next time, bye now.